Hi young artists, it's me, Miss P. This video is going to be pretty quick. I just want to tell you what my expectations are for this project and what materials you'll need for it. So you'll see here I used watercolor, a Sharpie, and I also used a pencil. You'll probably need a ruler as well. So I made a bunch of different vases for this project, and I have a couple of things that I want for these vases. I would like you to use the three primary colors to paint your vases. And those three primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. I want the vases to overlap so we get the secondary colors, which is green, orange, and purple. So I want primary color vases, but I want those primary color vases to overlap to create the secondary colors. I would like at least 2 shelves in this little painting that we make here. But I think that's all I have for you. So let's get started.
So here I am. I'm turning my paper sideways and I'm using a ruler to divide my paper up into shelves. I got a little confused at this point because I realized how much smaller my shelves were going to be than the top shelves were going to be than the bottom shelves. But then I just decided that instead I'd make the glassware on the top shelf just smaller, than the glassware on the very bottom shelf, and that would have the biggest stuff. So it doesn't really matter if your paper is not evenly divided because I just made different sized vases for each of these little shelves I made. Now I'm just sort of inventing glass structures. Try to make them so they're symmetrical, which means try to make them so they're even on both sides there, the same on both sides. That's what I was trying to do. And you can see in the beginning here, I'm working with a Sharpie, but I end up putting away my Sharpie and picking up a pencil just because I wasn't making these symmetrical enough for my liking. I didn't like how they were coming out and how they weren't perfect. So I went back with a pencil and I'm going to use that instead just so I can, do a little bit of an edit after I actually draw the thing.
You'll also notice that I'm making sure that all of my bottles are crossing over each other. They're overlapping, which means the lines are crossing over, as you can see with my drawings. This is very important to this project. The vases that you draw have to be intersecting, have to be overlapping with each other. So make sure that they cross over just a little bit. At this point, I decide that I want the glassware to overlap with the edge of my paper just so I can have more overlaps with the glass. And I start to realize that it's a lot easier to just draw part of one of these glass shapes because it doesn't have to be symmetrical on both sides if you could only see one side. So this became a lot easier for me just doing it on, just doing like half of the bottle or whatever it is. Um, and I think it looked a little bit better like this. Maybe you like the way it was. It's not a requirement to make it all going off the side of the paper. Obviously now I'm going to erase all of my pencil lines that I left behind a little bit before I actually get to coloring this. All right, now I'm gonna get out my watercolor so I can begin painting my glass bottles. I'm going to start with red. I wanna start with the darker primary colors. So I'm starting with red, or you could start with blue. And there are going to be 3 different colors. I'm going to do red vases, blue vases, and yellow vases because they are all the primary colors. So every 3 vases are going to be red. So you'll see this one at the edge here is also going to be red because the 2 in between that one are going to be yellow and blue. And I'm going to do that on every row of glassware that I made, kind of alternating where the red ones will go versus where the blue ones and the yellow ones will go. I would definitely recommend doing all the ones of one color first so they get a chance to dry. You're going to go over that same part that is intersecting with another primary color. So it's best if you can just keep everything dry so the the colors don't bleed into the larger part of the bottle. All right, at this point I'm cleaning off my paintbrush and I'm checking the paint on my top row, see if it's dry enough for painting. And at this point it is pretty dry. I don't think it's going to bleed, so I'm going and I'm starting in with my blue. And I'm sure you can see now that the place where my blue and my red overlap make a purple color, which is the whole point of this project, is to display the secondary colors when the 2 primary vases overlap each other. So I've got a little bit of that, and as this project comes along, I'm liking it more and more. Okay, now I'm going to start with my yellow, and I'm stopping back, or I'm starting at the top shelf because that was the one I first painted when I started on the blue, so it'll be the driest at this point. All right, I'm getting towards the end here. I'm pretty pleased with how all my vases are turning out. The color seems a lot lighter here, but it's actually darker in person. I hope you enjoy this project. Feel free to add some lines or designs on your vases before or after you do your watercolor. And I look forward to seeing these. Bye, everybody.